Two new chapters of Magi just came out very recently. A new chapter came out today, Magi chapter 272, and I do know about the Magi chapter that came out multiple days ago around, I think, June 28th, and I wasn't really going to review that until I saw the next chapter, for instance, chapter 272 that came out today. I didn't really want to review that other chapter because there was a big thing I was wondering about at the end of the chapter when it came to the generals, like what was their standpoint on this entire battle is going to be, like what role they're going to play, and what was really going on with their mutated forms. And I was looking forward to seeing what the next chapter is, and so I waited until, the next chapter of Magi came out before I did a review. So that's kind of why, the first chapter, chapter 271, was kind of delayed for a while. So now that that's out of the way, I did my brief little explanation. Let's do this review of these two Magi chapters. So there's three main things I really want to mention when it comes to this, chapter, what I want to talk about this video. For one thing, Hakuryu. You've got to praise Hakuryu, even though he is by himself, he is alone. You could consider Hakuryu alone. He may not have master tacticians because his generals out there fighting in the war at the moment. In, these two chapters, they're fighting. And so Hakuryu is kind of alone. So Hakuryu is kind of fighting this giant-ass battle by himself and holding his own, being able to have this huge supply of Magoi to be able to go up against this large-ass army of the Ko-Empire. You gotta praise Hakuryu. He's a really strong character to be able to accomplish a feat like that, which I'll dive into more on that in a minute. And then the second point, those fucking generals are scary as shit. Like, when you see them assimilating, and they're transforming and shit, like, they're turning into Belial, like household vessels like Belial and Zongan, the dude. They look fucking creepy. Like, that just, yeah. The fucking forms, the mutated arms and shit, it's so damn creepy. Oh my god. And then the third point, that girl behind Hakuryu is the wild card of this battle. I mentioned it once before, but it's so damn obvious something very bad is about to happen, because in the past two chapters, like these two chapters here, chapter 271 and chapter 272, each chapter had that girl. We don't really know much about this, because this girl was kind of introduced out of fucking nowhere, and I made my theories about this person before. I thought it was someone similar to, maybe Hakuryu's mother. Like, it seems like she's related in some essence or form to his mother. I've talked about that, theorized, and different things like that, but at the moment, she is a wild card, because she seems to have her own brain thinking thoughts. It's like she's not being controlled at this moment, and whoever this person is probably deadly, because the way she's acting around Hakuryu, especially in these two chapters, is something that is strange. So let's, go to the first chapter, 271 first. So what does chapter 271 really go to show? It goes to show that Hakuryu, he's kind of planned out all along that he wanted his army to be destroyed. He wanted his army to be completely obliterated, and the whole point of his 100,000 men were to have his enemies use their Magoi to where they could run out a Magoi before him. And so this entire war has actually turned into a battle of Magoi consumption. Who runs out of Magoi first? Whoever runs out first is the loser. And so this is like a test of endurance. That's kind of what is going on right now. And so, at the end of chapter 272, you're left wondering, how the fuck is Hakuryu going to pull through with this? I mean, he's been powering an army of 100,000 kind of by himself. I mean, he's dishing out a lot of Magoi. I mean, he's having, a lot of people, the mages send him Magoi, but they're running dry and they're dropping dead in, chapter 272. So, what the fuck is Hakuryu going to do? I mean, there's no way he could fight, his brothers and sisters when they do the dungeon equip, because if he right now is already running low to where his arm is falling off. Huge question. So this is where it leads into my third thing I said. That girl is a wild card, because at this time, we don't really know whose side she is on. We don't know if she's on Hakuryu's side, the other side, the enemy side of Hakuryu's, or neutral, or someone else entirely, because that is a big mystery. And the way she acted, with the way she was talking to Hakuryu, how he's running out of Magoi, it seemed like she was kind of sneering upon him. The way she acted with her face expressions when she was smiling, it seemed like she was sneering at Hakuryu, just, kind of laughing inside at him, because he was fucking up so bad. Like, he lost his magic, he's about to lose his legs, where he's gonna fall onto the ground. It seemed like she was laughing at him. So, something very bad is about to happen, and I'm kind of worried about that. I really am, but That's saved for another chapter because there's not much more to really go on. The big things we need to pull up right now is the generals. So let's get back to the generals. The generals are terrifying because they are increasing their assimilation a lot faster with the power of Belial and Zongan. They're increasing the assimilation to where they can take on a monstrous type form, as we know what happens to household vessels. And seeing these two generals go into this type of form and fighting like they are, they don't give a shit about their life. Like, they're literally throwing away their life. They don't give a shit. They even say that in chapter 272. They're like, we're throwing away our life. We're shortening our life. We don't care. All of us should pretty much die in this war. We all should fucking die, and Hakuryu should be the only one to live. Because we, as people, us generals and everybody else in the kingdom, allowed us to be eaten out from the inside and let everybody get destroyed, and Hakuryu was the only one that tried to change anything. And that was kind of the generals' ideals of what they were thinking at when it came to this overall war, what they were trying to accomplish. They're mainly just there to be a brick wall to stall for time and to have it to where the enemies of Hakuryu use their Magoi against the generals, to have it to where his enemies run out of Magoi and it goes into a Magoi consumption battle, as I previously mentioned. So the war is shifting not to manpower, for instance, like a larger army than someone else, and it beats another one. For instance, as we know, Hakuryu's army is vastly outnumbered. I mean, he only had 100,000 men, and, like, the other army was 3 to 4 times larger, which is fucking ridiculous. It is. And this war is not really about capacity of the size. It's not about that. It's actually about who has the better metal vessels, better strategic plans when it comes to household vessels, metal vessels, and Magoi consumption. And that's where the overall battle is starting to take place towards. And at the moment, it seems like Hakuryu has all odds stacked up against him, and it seems like he is fighting a losing battle. And I mean, it's kind of obvious since the beginning there is no way in fuck he should be able to win, because I mean, he's up against so many others, household vessels, you know, metal vessels, everybody. He's just up against so many damn people. It doesn't make logical sense if Hakuryu was able to fight against this. So, like I said, leading back into the wild card with that girl, she's probably either going to give some form of magic to Hakuryu, or we're going to have some form of white Zetsu come in and fucking backstab Hakuryu. So, one of the fucking other is going to be happening, but we'll have to see how that goes. Now, back into the point, though, of the first chapter, chapter 271, you see it to where the enemy side is trying to not really cause casualties. For instance, if Hakuryu's enemies wanted to really get to him quickly, they could just go in brute force, regardless of casualties, and just kill off his entire army because of numbers. I mean, Hakuryu's army is still outnumbered, and if they really wanted to try, even though they would lose a lot more people, they would eventually outnumber Hakuryu's guys and defeat them all because they have, you know, more numbers than his army. And you had to where the tacticians and the generals and stuff on the enemy side of Hakuryu's was like, okay, so we're going to put down a furnace, we're putting down these fucking blocks for the portals, we're going to trap and encase Hakuryu's army inside this giant-ass furnace, and we're going to zap their willpower from them. It's going to save it to where we don't kill these people and kill our men fighting each other, and we kind of decrease the casualties of this war. And so even though they used their Magoi to do this, which in turn worked in Hakuryu's favor, it still was a smart decision, and it goes to show you what type of enemies Hakuryu is facing. He can use their kindness against him, and that is what Hakuryu is playing upon. So what type of objective Hakuryu is going to do in the next chapter, we have no fucking idea. But overall, though, chapter's getting very good. I'm looking forward to seeing what is going to happen next because the hype is immense. I'm loving the direction with this war. I'm loving the fast pace. Like, the pacing of this war is so fast paced, which is shocking because when I, you know, read war arcs in shonen or anything, they usually take hundreds of fucking chapters. They do. There's good examples out there, even at this time. And to see how Magi is just speeding through this war arc like it's nothing, I'm happy about that because I get to enjoy all this content at once, get to see what is going on, all this brutal shit going down with, you know, these ideals and the final war. It just makes me so happy to see something like that going at a decent pace instead of, you know, hitting the fucking brakes and going damn slow. So I'm liking that. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel about this week's chapter of Magi? I mean, do you like these two chapters we got? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please be safe. Chibi out.